Emily and I just played Reef Project from Board and Dice. This is one of the Gen Con releases that we're going to be seeing here very soon. This is part of our Road to Gen Con coverage, but it is still a Just Played, so we're going to tell you a little bit about the game, kind of walk you through its paces, and also give you a sense of who it's for and who we think it's not for.
Yes. So in this game, we are going to be divers going around the reef, and we are actually rebuilding the reef.
Yes.
So we're using these little reef balls and putting them around the reef to try to get from island to place to pick up the trash and make it a better habitat for everybody.
Yes, you're cleaning up pollution. You're sort of like encouraging the growth of the reef. And in the game, scoring lots of points along the way.
Yes.
You're going to score points throughout the game for sure, and you're going to want to do that because it's tied very much to sort of the refresh phase, if you will. Some players may take more refresh phases than others.
Yes.
And then there's going to be quite a bit of endgame scoring as well. But what you're doing in your turn is pretty simple. The components we have out here, and it should be noted that this is not a final production copy of the game. This is sort of a pre-production copy, but everything is pretty much the way it will be.
Yeah.
You've got the main board here, this is set up for 1 to 2 players. These are a smaller map with all these islands that are put out, not completely randomly, but somewhat randomly within their colors. And then you've got these routes between them with these little icons that denote the energy that you'd have to spend to go from island to island. That is, unless you've put down one of your
reef balls,
and then you can go over that route for free. You're also going to have your player board, which has quite a bit of things going on. There's 3 resources you're going to have, and those reef balls are going to sort of clutter up those tracks at first, and you need to move those off into sort of an area where you can use them, and then from that area, get them out on the board. That's part of the process. And then in the middle of your player board, you have these 3 rows for
crew members
that are going to do a wide variety of different actions. And of course, it's another thing that you can trigger those guys. And then over here, you've got your energy, which at the beginning of the game is going to feel a little claustrophobic because you need to spend that energy to get anywhere.
Yep.
And you don't start with much. And there's no real significant way of getting a ton, at least early.
Except the one way you can for sure get energy is if instead of traveling, which is the main thing you're going to do, you can recharge. So whenever you recharge, you'll get to see how far you are on the points track, and you'll take everything that's below yours. You always start at the spot that's going to give you 3 energy. So if you run out of energy, there is a way to get it right back.
Yeah, and then the other board you see here is this board over here. I think it's called the research board. There's a number of things going on here. We've got some of these mission cards up here, which denote the islands. Most of them do anyway. Some of them are not island specific. These are things you can play 1 during your turn on a travel action, and if you go to the appropriate island, you can complete a mission there. It allows you to do a little bit more with your turn. Some of the cards don't need an island. Those are more achievement based, where as long as you have this, you get this. You don't have to spend anything or anything like that. And right below those, you have the research track. This is another track that we're going to be going up. You're going to be able to get points at the end of the game, depending on how high you are, but you're also going to be able to get some of these tokens if you take a little bit of a detour, not to mention some of those crew members, and then also some excess pollution, because there are going to be times where you're not only taking pollution from the board, but you can take it from there. The other side of those pollution tokens are bonuses and points if you don't use them by the end of the game.
Yes. And then on the main board, we have all the islands we're traveling to, and we also have the diver track. So on the bottom, there's a second track where we're going up, and you're going to get points for whoever's the furthest at the end. They're also going to allow you to take these fish actions to give you additional bonuses throughout the game, and these are going to be first to them gets it. But when it's flipped over, the actual other side is even better.
Yeah.
So you're kind of like incentivized both ways to go up quickly so that way you can get more points in the end game. But if you go up slowly, you'll get even more bonuses as a catch-up mechanic.
Yeah, it's an interesting dynamic. I don't know that I've ever seen that
I liked it, though.
in another game. Well, you liked it because you were
Because
trailing me the whole time. I was trying to get up there fast, uncover these tiles to utilize those with the fish action. And all of this makes thematic sense. We don't know all the details, but for instance, this segment here, you're taking photography underwater. That's kind of thematically what you're doing down here. Like Emily alluded to, on your turn, you're either going to take that travel action or that recharge action. Most of the time, and in fact,
I never recharged.
She never recharged once, but that's partly because she had a player-specific power at the beginning that you're going to put these sheets in your player boards that give you that. Hers let her put out a buoy, or I'm sorry,
A
a
reef
ball
ball.
for 1 less energy, which is pretty significant because at the beginning of a travel turn, say I was right here, and imagine these were cleared off right now. If I wanted to travel here, I could just do that and spend 3 energy. Or at the beginning of a travel action, you have the opportunity and option to put out 1 of the reef balls in a route adjacent to where your boat is right now. So if I put it there, I have to still pay that 3 energy.
Yeah.
But now I move across that for free for the rest of the game.
Yes.
As long as you have 1 of your reef balls on a route, that segment of the route is free for you. Other interesting thing there is...
It's friendly, though, too, now.
It is friendly.
If I was trying to put a reef ball there, now it's only going to cost me 2. Or if I just try to take the route, it's still only going to cost me 2.
Right.
So as people start going places, it kind of opens it up for everybody because now everything's a little bit cheaper. And soon you find a point at the game where you're like, I can go 1, I can go 1. Oh, I can go all the way across the board, and it's not really going to cost me anything.
It was like on Emily's 4th turn, maybe, where she was somewhere over here, maybe 4th or 5th turn, and she took her next turn and went from over here all the way back over here because it was all free, or maybe cost just 1 energy or something like that. And note that some of these routes, some of them have 3, some of them have 2, some of them have 1. So once that one's covered, that's free for everybody. Someone did the work, but everyone can use it for free. And you're using those to go around to all of these different islands. Say I went to this. The starting island lets you do 3 things. You can do these things in any order. The icon's going to let you move up the research track. This one's going to let you move your diver up and then take the corresponding action. And again, you can do those in any order. So if you really want to take the action that's above your diver at the moment, you can do that first and then move up and potentially reveal some of those things.
There's a lot of flexibility in the game, but there's also a lot you're going for. So you have the diver track, you have the research track, you have missions. So every time you're traveling, you can also try to go specifically to the island for the mission. And then if you get 3 islands of the different types, you'll get 4 points, which will move you up along the points track during the game. Plus, you're also trying to get these, uncover these trash, right?
Yeah, the pollution filling up the ocean.
So when I put my reef balls down, once one of them is completely surrounded by me or other players, we'll count up who has the most around it, and they will get that piece of pollution, which has both points and an in-game kind of bonus you can take instead. And then we'll also get points. Everyone's going to get points per reef ball they have around it, and if their boat is in one of the islands adjacent.
Yeah, so for this example, if I had just closed this up, I'd get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points, and Emily would get 1, and I would get the token. Spoiler alert, that's not how that played out during the game. I did not do that well. But that's how you get these pollution tokens. It's how you get them off the board. And that's also going to be some endgame scoring.
Yes.
And there's a lot of endgame scoring. There's a lot of things throughout the game you can do that are going to uncover points. We have some assistants here, like my crew member here. I can activate them to get 2 kelp, or I could spend 2 kelp to get 4 points.
Yes.
So you can start to build up these little engines. And there are some spaces out on the board that let you fire off like all your green crew members or all your red crew members. So you could get a nice row or crew members. You don't even have to put these in the right color.
Right.
It's just another way to get points. If you do all the right color across the whole thing, like Emily did here.
I did twice.
You get, you did
I get
twice.
the 4 points and then the 4 points again.
8 points there. So there's points just kind of like littered all over the place.
It's like a little bit of point salad because you can really do anything you're trying to do, and then it's going to give you a little bit of a bonus. Because you do the rows, you'll get points in game. If you do a column, you'll get to actually activate one of these things. And that's kind of the feeling for all of it, really. Like, if you do one thing, you go one way and get a little bit. If you go the other way, you get a little bit of something else. So it's kind of just making your choices between, like, which route do I want to go up? Where do I want to be spending my time? And anything I'm doing is probably going to get me points. But, like, how can I do it best, right?
Yeah, and it's really interesting. Even though we didn't use the recharge too often, the game is going to go and really be triggered by the score. Once you get up to 22, the objective cards are going to come out, and these are basically scoring opportunities. The interesting thing there, it's maybe a little bit of a catch-up mechanic, kind of, sort of, because whoever's in last place gets their first pick of those, so they might be able to get an objective card that they can maximize the score on very
really
well.
for them.
Or maybe hate draft one from someone else who's going to
so
score a ton of points off of it. But then the game is also going to get triggered, the game end, when someone hits 45. You finish that round, you play another round. But like we said, there's all these icons, which we didn't utilize too much. But you could take a recharge action way over here and do a lot of things around this track that really is maybe as robust, if not more so, than taking an action with a travel action.
Yeah. And as you can see, though, we went quite a few ways past that 45.
This is me. I went less far past.
You'll get one more turn. We'll finish the round, get one more turn past that 45 mark. But then there's a bunch of scoring opportunities, like you were saying.
What is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 6 or 7 or 8 scoring things there at the end game. It's going to be some mission cards you have, your objective cards. It's going to include resources. It also comes back to these sharks. You're going to look to see who has majority there, which is interesting because even though it's been resolved,
you can still add stuff back.
Which Emily did quite well and scored a lot of points there too. So she absolutely clobbered me in this one. But this is a Just Played, so we want to talk to you a little bit about who we think it's for, who we think it's not for maybe. I think the easy who it's for, this game is combo-tastic.
Combo-tastic.
I mean, this is a board and dice theme that I think we're seeing from game to game to game these days. The combos are crazy in this game, and if you like that, and if you like being able to find, I could just do this, or I could do this over here, which is going to trigger this, which is going to let me do that thing that I wanted to do, you're going to really like this. With that said, I do think there's such a thing as some combo games, and I love a combo. I love a good combo game. Sometimes the combos branch off so much on one turn that you're going to find yourself going, wait a minute, what started all this? And you'll have to retrace your steps back and go, it's here, and I still haven't even done these two things. Like you can really start something out here. It could take you to your crew member. That crew member could take you to this diving thing. That could go up. That could trigger another thing. And that's no joke. What I just described could literally happen in the game.
And when you do it, you're basically on a scale, right, between your balancing flexibility and what you can actually do and the clarity of what you've already done. Yeah. And it definitely leads more towards flexibility. Like, it's giving you all the flexibility. You could do this in any order. You could do this in any order. And so you have all these different options, but you just have to then remember which ones you took and which ones you still have yet to take as part of your turn.
And I think we bring that up only as a bit of a warning. That's really not a huge negative, because I think if you like combos, you're going to like these things.
Yeah.
But this is right up there with some of the most significant roll and writes that have you going everywhere doing that. Yeah. Three Sisters comes to mind, where you're like, oh my gosh, I've triggered so many things. And where was I?
It becomes that way because the turns are so simple that it's like you're not thinking, okay, this is going to be a huge long turn, but suddenly you're like, I'm going to just move here, but then I get to do this, and I'm going to do this, and then I get to do this. And suddenly something that was like an easy move is suddenly taking like 5 minutes, and David's like, are you still going? Is it still your turn?
Exactly. It can get pretty crazy. I think you've seen this with other board and dice games like Toletum, I think was like that very much, where you could like find a way to make things happen.
Make it happen.
And like Emily said, that flexibility, that is that scale. When things are massively flexible, it's going to create a lot of like
permutations.
That could potentially also lead to a little AP, potentially. There was a time, especially at the end of the game, I was like, okay, this is my last turn.
I'm going to math it out.
Here are the things that I want to get done. And we as a team even said, okay, where is it that we could go? And I figured out, there was, narrowed it down to one space. I was like, okay, that's going to maximize my points. Mm-hmm. But it took a little bit for even the both of us to get there.
I would say, so it is a little bit of like route building, network building.
Oh, for sure.
And I would say what it is for is it's a bit friendlier than that. So if you like those games because they can be very tight and you can kind of cut people off and like do something where like you kind of hurt their whole strategy, this is not that type of game. This is more like whenever I'm building something, it's inadvertently helping other people, because as we all build out, it's just becoming easier and easier for people to do more stuff. So it depends on what you're going for in those types of games. If you like one that's super tight and really hard on everybody, this is not that. This is much friendlier, much like nicer to the environment.
It is a friendlier game. I would say that there is a little bit of tightness at the beginning of the game. If you like a game that has a nice, steady, even pace, this changes quite a bit, this game.
Yeah.
At first, you're clawing and scratching your way to the next island. And then you'll find yourself very quickly like, oh, I guess I've got to recharge because I have no method of getting more energy, and you need energy to do anything. And then you could recharge, but it was I think I recharged once, maybe twice, and then it pivots to, now I can kind of go to a lot of different places. Now, with that said, we did not explore down here too much.
Not too much.
I think I did.
We did go there.
I did come down here. I just placed this buoy to get there, but then I just went right back because it was at the end of the game. But the game does change in terms of the pacing, and it feels almost a little bit jarringly different than the beginning of the game at the end of the game, but in a good way, because you're able to, at the end of the game, you've
built so much, you can do so much, you're like, oh my gosh, this is huge.
Yeah, that one place you need to get to, you probably can get there.
Exactly.
So that is the Reef project. If you're going to Gen Con, definitely go check this out. I think they're supposed to have it there for sale. That was their plan anyway. I do think, like every Gen Con, Board and Dice has a lot of games like this. I think they reveal a big, nice, medium to heavyweight Euro there. This one's probably going to sell out eventually. I don't know that it's day one.
This one I think is going to be popular.
But it'll probably be popular. It's very pretty on the table. So if you're going to be there, go check it out. If you're not going to be there, ask us whatever you want down in the comments below. We'll get down there and answer whatever we can. Until next time, though, make sure everyone has fun at the table, and we'll see you then.